right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this wonderful day and this wonderful meeting of the Los Angeles City Board of Public Works. It's Wednesday, June 30, 2021, 10 a.m. And it's a pleasure to see you all. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Good. Dr. Campos, do we have one?
Thank you, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, establishing roll call and quorum. We have President Good, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioner Villegas. So again, President Good, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioner Villegas are present, and we do have a quorum at this time. Mr. President, at this time, we currently have two callers on the line for under general public comment. We also have 3 callers on the line for item number 6 for today's agenda. We also received commentary through our Google online comment form for general public comment, item number 2, 3, 5, and 6. And we also received 4 emails on general public comment from Ira Koslow and Ms. Diana Nicole that has been sent to all commissioners as of this morning. So again, all commentary received via email and Google Forms has been sent to all commissioners on those items. Again, just to reiterate, 2 callers for general public comment are on the line and 3 callers for item number 6 that are on the line in the queue as of this time.
All right.
At this time also, Mr. President, we do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comments section. And there's been a request to withdraw item number 4, and also there's been a special request to take item number 9 a little ahead of schedule due to schedule conflicts for that presenter. So again, item 4, request to withdraw completely, and item number 9 to consider that item ahead of schedule.
Okay. Okay, so here's what we'll do. First off, let's go ahead and Dr. Campos will withdraw item number 4, unless Villegas or Davis have any objections. Then what we will do is, particularly since we're waiting for our human of the hour, we'll take the minutes, then general public comment, and then we'll take item number 1, and that should be a decent amount of time without delaying and keeping folks too long because everybody's got busy days. We'll take item number 9 actually. First off, let's take the minutes from Friday, June 11, 2021. I will motion to approve those minutes. Any objections or concerns, Commissioner Villegas or President Pro Tem Davis?
No objections from me.
Okay. Hearing no objections, minutes from Friday, June 11, 2021 are received and adopted forthwith.
Mr. President, I may have missed the second person who moved your motion. So you moved the...
Second. I second it.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Davis.
Thanks, Dr. Davis. I made this the second. So thank you, Dr. Davis. We're small but mighty, but it can... all right, so let's hear general public comment now, Dr. Campos.
Absolutely, Mr. President. Just also for the record, we're also joined by our City Attorney, Tania Isarguia. I apologize for mispronouncing your last name.
Isagari, it's fine.
Isagari. And I failed to mention that she is our General Counsel for the day. Mr. Ted Jordan's not with us this morning.
Good morning, Tania.
Mr. President, I'll go ahead and connect the 3 callers on the line for, the 2 callers for general public comment. We'll start off with the first caller ending in 408. Caller ending in 408, Peter. If you can please press *6 at this time to unmute your microphone. The board is now considering general public comment. You will have 2 minutes to speak under this category. Please go ahead.
Yeah, all right. Thank you very much. Specifically for general public comment, I'd like to speak, it's tangentially related to item number 6, but sort of a separate and broader topic, which is the sort of replacement rate of mature trees that are being replaced. As an example, in the project that you guys are looking at today, you're asking for 9 trees to be cut down at a replacement rate of 2 to 1. And the trees being cut are decades old, mature, wonderful trees in downtown, specifically, which is a neighborhood with very poor tree canopy and cover. And we're getting back 2-to-1 36-inch box trees. And sort of in the broad sense across the city, I hope sort of, both today and going forward, that you really sort of consider the deep inadequacy of that. The fact that to even get close to sort of the benefits currently provided by the existing tree infrastructure there, it will take decades to get back there. So we'll be operating at a deficit for years and years in terms of shade, in terms of climate, in terms of cooling, in terms of air cleaning. And these are all things that are going to be lost through these decisions that are made sort of today and going into the future. So I just really want to sort of point that out and sort of broadly encourage you to, look for ways and push for ways to encourage sort of better policy that will allow you to sort of actually in the cases where it is required to destroy this infrastructure, to actually replace it in ways that we are sort of either gaining benefit or at least not being at a deficit for years and years to come. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. I'm going to go ahead and mute your microphone at this time. We'll move on to the next caller and last caller for general public comment. Joanne D'Antonio, caller ending in 631. If you can please press *6 at this time to unmute your microphone. You have 2 minutes to speak under general public comment.
Hi, Joanne D'Antonio, Community Forest Advisory Committee. Since we don't have the opportunity to comment further as you deliberate in the hearings, our alternative is to respond at the next general public comment. Regarding the trees on Esther Street from last Friday's hearing, I want to point out that there are huge canopy 60-foot ficus trees with adjacent flat sidewalks in other local cities. Check out Magnolia Boulevard in Burbank and Sunset Boulevard in Beverly Hills. A CFAC member photographed ficus trees with flat sidewalks all over Santa Monica. I actually inspected the Esther Street site last Thursday. These Chinese banyan variety ficus trees on Esther required attention a long time ago. Residents had planted plants under the trees, which robbed resources. Insufficient water caused the core of the trees to die. Meandering sidewalks could have been offered to residents to enlarge tree wells. The ficus is a drought-tolerant, shade-producing tree, and these need to be preserved. CFAC members coaxed council members to appropriate more money for urban forestry, and now UFD needs to start caring properly for our large canopy trees. There is a lot of tree knowledge on CFAC, and we have access to credentialed experts that understand ecology and biology. Urban forestry has only arborist inspectors who consider one tree at a time. If you could require transmittals, which are public records, to be made available with much more lead time than a few days before the hearings, we could give you evaluations that could help you understand the scientific and ecological circumstances. Members of CFAC want to help, not criticize. We are vetted and appointed by our council members and the mayor. Please give us the opportunity to help you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. D'Antonio. Mr. President, that clears the queue for general public comment.
Oh, I thought there was 3. There's only 2?
Only 2,
Okay.
and 3 for item number 6.
Oh, got it. Okay, great. Thank you, Ms. D'Antonio. I'll tell you what, let's do. Let's jump forward really quickly. I think Adele is here. Hey, Adele. Let's really quick, let's take item 9, and then we'll go back to the beginning. Item 9, an AFE Authority for Expenditure, Southern California Alliance of Publicly Owned Treatment Works, Bureau of Sanitation, and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $50,000 to pay for annual membership dues for the period July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2021. This is AE 217-60944M, Fund 760, Sewer Operations and Maintenance Fund, Department Number 50, Appropriation Unit 50TX8. Mr. Nikaido, are you on this item?
Yes, I am. Good morning to everybody, and thank you to the board for considering this item early in the agenda. My name is Steve Nikaido. I'm a senior environmental engineer with LA Sanitation and Environment. We are seeking the board's approval of this AFE to pay annual membership fees or dues to the Southern California Alliance of Publicly Owned Treatment Works, or SCAP, in the amount of $50,000. The dues cover the period of July 1st, 2020 to today, actually, June 30th, 2021, so timely in that respect. A little background, SCAP is a regional nonprofit corporation. They represent over 80 agencies across 7 counties in Southern California. I know the board has heard and approved memberships by sanitation and other agencies and associations that are at the national or state level. SCAP is more at the regional Southern California level, so their focus is here. Its mission statement is to provide leadership, technical assistance, and timely information, promoting policies and regulations that focus on sustainable protection of the environment and public health. They work to ensure that publicly owned treatment works like sanitations in the cities, collection systems, and stormwater management agencies are reasonable in the public's interest and balanced by efforts to protect the environment. The dues schedule itself is based on the average daily flow. We happen to be in the highest bracket of over 100 million gallons per day. The fee schedule actually has not changed, however, since 2005, so the $50,000 dues has remained consistent for many years. Sanitation participates actively. Our former general manager, Enrique Zaldivar, was on the board of directors, and staff from many sanitation divisions participate in the various technical committees related to air quality, biosolids, collection systems, and other water and wastewater issues. So we are just seeking the board's approval of the $50,000 for the annual dues for SCAP. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Steve. Colleagues, any questions or concerns, President Pro Tem Davis?
Yeah, in terms of the governance of the professional association, is it a seat that whomever the director of sanitation from LA gets to sit on, or is it a seat that an individual member has to run for in order to acquire a seat on that board?
I'm not particularly sure about the process by which they elect the board members. I understand, though, that there are 2 board members for the different counties that are represented. So Mr. Zaldivar formerly held one of those positions for representing LA County. So at this point, we still have to go through SCAP in the process as far as whether or not other sanitation managers or executives would be able to take on that role.
Yeah, that was definitely the reason for my question. I did not know if his successor would automatically assume that position in representing the city. But thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Villegas?
I don't have any questions. Thank you for bringing this forward to us. I can talk to Steve offline just about this. I didn't want to mispronounce your last name. Nikaido, is that how you pronounce it?
Nikaido.
Nikaido, okay. I can just talk to you offline. Not a problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Happy to do so.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Villegas. I'll motion to move the item. I'm sorry?
I can move the item.
Perfect. I'll give you a second. Any objections, Commissioner or President Pro Tem Davis?
No objections from me.
All right, hearing no objections, the item is adopted forthwith. Thank you, Mr. Nikaido.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
All right, folks. Rumor has it that the future executive director of the Metropolitan Water District has graced us today with his presence. Now, there was concern that we may not be able to see his pretty face. I'm sorry, that was inappropriate comment. Tania, correct me, please. but it seems we have remedied this, and he is with us in the near virtual flesh. Hello, Adele.
Hey, hi.
Hi. So they have turned out in droves. This is like Hollywood Squares times, I can't count, but it's a lot. And that's because everyone wants to come and talk about their star. We're all torn with degrees of sadness, remorse, and melancholy, and excitement, enthusiasm, and pride with your appointment. And so we're going to take a little time here to embarrass you and make you blush. Probably someone makes you cry. And just spend a little Adele time. And it's time that everyone is looking forward to very much. So with that, though you know, Adele, that I can talk almost as much as you, and certainly happy to talk about you. I'll take that liberty again and again. But now I'm going to...
Mr. President, if I can just say something. I'm on a boat coming back from Catalina back home. So if I get disconnected, no, I love you all. If I can't hear you, I know I'm going to watch all this recording, but I wanted to at least jump in. And I just took 3 days vacation with the family. We're coming back on the boat now. So hopefully we can keep reception as long as I can. And know that I love you all. Thank you.
I love it. We're going to honor Adele while he's in the water. That seems appropriate to me. So with that, I'm going to hand over the virtual mic to our master of ceremonies here, Commissioner Teresa Villegas.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much, Adele, for taking the time. I know everything has been, very rushed, and we just wanted to take this time and give you the proper send-off and send you with a lot of love and a lot of care because you deserve that. As a civil servant, being with the city for the past 32 years, your career with the city is impeccable. And you have few people here, but you have, at least 2,300 other employees right behind you saying similar accolades, that you will hear, in the Board of Public Works, but many employees from sanitation, many employees from Streets LA, and then all of the crossing and the connections that you've made over time with many bureaus and many city departments, because you've touched many lives with the city of Los Angeles. And it's just important, for everyone to hear. As a parent, I always think my children need to hear they need to hear the words from me that I love them, but you also need to hear it from us, that you are loved and that you're cared for, and that we have tremendous amount of respect for the work and the culture change that you created at Streets LA, and just your significant amount of damp that you left. As we've all been saying, the damage has already been done, and it's a good damage at wherever you go. And we know that you will have a lot of tremendous success when you go to the Metropolitan Water District. They don't even know. But I do know that we have several folks here that are wanting to speak as well, or send you with their words of encouragement, and they're also just their communication that they want to share with you. I just made a quick list. If you all want to, mind you, we don't necessarily have a program, but I will ask all of your deputy general managers if they'd like to speak. You can unmic yourself. I see we have Greg, we have Gary Harris, we have Keith Mose, of course. Maybe we should start with Keith, and we also have Stephanie. And so all your deputy general managers can speak. Why don't we start with Keith, followed by Stephanie, Greg, and Gary.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that. And yeah, this is a special day. It's a big day for Adele, a loss for us, but it's a good loss. And I just want to say, that you're a great person to work for. You define outside the box thinker when it comes to providing services and people skills. I've never met anybody like you with those type skills, and I've learned a lot from you, and I appreciate that. I know you'll continue to elevate your game you know, and as you define yourself and continue to develop your skills. And I value our friendship. You taught me how to use the word love in communication, you know, with people, and that's very important with, you know, with our staff. And so I love you, and I you know, look forward to hearing from you over the years on your accomplishments and things like that. And you know, I really appreciated working with you, and so thank you. And now I'll turn it over to Greg.
Thank you, Keith. Hi, Adele. The waterman is on the water. That's so perfect. You know, I've been able to really change my job as a result of your leadership. You know, I still have, you know, 600 people that I'm overseeing, but, you know, early on, you told me to really lean into the Chief Sustainability Officer role. And I think at one council hearing, you called me your sustainability superhero, and I thought that was a very high bar that I tried to reach after you said that. And I've just enjoyed my job in all kinds of new ways. I think this board knows how me and my staff in forestry have brought new things to this board, a cool pavement contract for $4 million last month, standing up for mature, healthy trees that maybe don't need to be removed. There's so many board meetings that are evidence of the way you've empowered and inspired us to lean into being green and really innovate and stand up for our trees and other green infrastructure. So it's been a great pleasure and a great you know, development opportunity for me, and many of the staff you know, echo those comments. So thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie, you want to go next?
Sure. Hey, Adele. Hope you had a great trip. Yeah, I just wanted to thank you so much, Adele. It was an honor and a privilege to report to you directly. I want to thank you for all of your guidance, and I really used you as a mentor, and I just, you know, learned from you. I observed how you got things done, and it will be invaluable for me going forward. I think what you also showed, that you can be a leader and you can show your love and you can be vulnerable and you can act like a real person. You know, a lot of times the leader has to be, you know, the man or woman in charge with their ego and they've got it all under control, but you showed that you can be a human and you can be a leader. So I just want to thank you so much. I feel much better knowing that water is in your control in Southern California, given all the things that are going on. And I just wish you all the best to you and your family. And I thank you, and I love you too. Thanks, Adele.
Good morning. Adele, at this point, I'm very sad to say that we have to say goodbye to you, but I'm excited about the future opportunity that you bring and the impact you will have on all of Southern California. I've learned so much from working with you. You've been an integral part of my professional development. And I want to really thank you for the opportunity to serve as part of the Streets LA executive team. You've been a mentor to so many of us here in Streets LA, and it's truly appreciated. You've laid the blueprint for the organization's future success. So best wishes in your new role. And again, thank you for everything.
Thank you. I think we will. We also have some special guests with us today. I know we have Barbara Romero, our deputy mayor, now LA Sanitation Director. Congratulations to take the opportunity. And I know that we have also with us Mr. John Reamer and Ms. Deborah Weintraub and Jennifer McDowell. So why don't we turn this over now to Barbara? And I know that Adele's like chiming in and out, so he'll get the recording.
All right. So Adele, like I've told you, and so those of you who don't know, when he was going through the process for this job, I was his reference. So what I told the recruiter is that a couple times that, you know, we didn't want to lose him, that he still had a lot to do here at City of LA, but that one of the things that I think is that he is one of those transformational leaders that didn't use one leadership style. You know, for those of us who have taken leadership classes, he does go, you know, he can go into the different parts of those leadership styles. And I think you guys have alluded to that. He is a force to be reckoned. He works every one of us. He is a workhorse. But I think what makes Adele special is what you guys have all talked about, is he does, as the mayor talks about, is he leads with love. He does make, you know, builds personal relationships, that he does want to connect with people. And that, you know, inspires people to, you know, work harder and to connect, you know, to connect to the work, and to want to do better. And for, you know, one of the things that I have found really rewarding working for the city, and that I think is important, is to remind people in this time that has been, you know, these last, you know, several years, is reminding people that work, you know, being of service, and that public service and public servants do matter, and, you know, that government can't work for people. Adele is one of those people that I, you know, when I talk about the kind of person that, you know, young people can be, and talking to you know, young people about careers in public service, I refer to Adele all the time as a role model. So Adele, thank you for your service, and, you know, for teaching us about, you know, what matters, and that that at the end of the day, we are family that care about each other, and that this work only matters if we do it with love, and the people, and caring about the people in the work, and ultimately about the city and the people that we're doing it for. So I want to say thank you, and that, you know, I know that we'll, because of the person you are, we'll have, you know, we'll continue to be friends and continue to work together. So on that note, I'll say, you know, till the next time, to our next meeting together, or our next strategy session, or our next plan, our next big goal of what we would need to accomplish together on water. And but now, like you have done and shown, Adele, I'm going to turn it over to one of our, you know, upcoming and future leaders, you know, Jen, to be part of helping to honor you by sharing the, you know, with us the mayor's certificate and our whereases on behalf, and to pay tribute to you, Jennifer McDowell.
Thank you, Barbara. Adele, here are the mayor's certificate for you. We will be getting you the physical copy very soon. And this is just a sampling of what we have here. There's a lot. I won't take up our time by reading everything. Whereas Adele Haj Khalil worked for the City of Los Angeles for 32 years, most recently as the Executive Director of Streets LA, and his career spans the Public Works Bureaus of Sanitation, Street Services, and Engineering. Whereas as Executive Director of Streets LA, Adele established a reputation of innovation, transparency, and partnership, in addition to rebranding the Bureau of Street Services as Streets LA to help put the tree in the streets. Whereas Adele brought the Streets LA organizational philosophy to enhance the quality of life for all, taking proactive ownership of the public right-of-way and integrating operations across divisions for multi-benefit projects. And whereas Adele expanded Streets LA sustainability initiatives, deploying new technology and employing existing technology more intentionally to reduce air pollution, respond to the climate emergency. Whereas Adele modernized Bureau operations, enhancing the Bureau's efficiency and effectiveness for years to come. Whereas Adele set an example for responsive and thoughtful leadership during the COVID-19 pandemic by supporting business reopenings and public safety education, as well as adapting work plans to reduce impacts on residents and enhancing city services across the city. Whereas Adele, as Assistant Director at LA Sanitation, oversaw the wastewater collection system management, stormwater and watershed protection program, water quality compliance, facilities, and advanced planning. Whereas Adele directed the preparation of the award-winning 2041 Water LA plan that integrates water supply, water reuse, water conservation, and stormwater management. Whereas Adele played a key role in doubling the amount of wastewater recycled at the facilities from 5 million GPD to 10 million. And whereas Adele, throughout his career with the City of Los Angeles, has left a legacy of leading with love, partnership, and inclusion to create a more beautiful, sustainable, and equitable city for all Angelenos. Now, therefore, I, on behalf of Eric Garcetti, Mayor of the City of Los Angeles, and on behalf of its residents, do hereby present this digital certificate to Adel Haj Khalil, recognizing his decades of service to our city and his legacy of excellence and innovation for generations to come. Congratulations, Adele. Thank you, Commissioner Villegas.
A beautiful tribute indeed. Thank you. All right, and I'm going to turn this over now to Deborah Weintraub, if you wanted to say a few words, and then John Reamer.
Thank you, Commissioner. So I'm here speaking on behalf of my colleagues at Engineering, both the leadership team and the staff, many of whom have worked with Adele for many years. And what I consistently heard when I reached out to folks was how personable and caring Adele is to the people he works with. And we're really going to miss that. But saying goodbye to Adele and wishing him all the best in the huge challenges he's going to face with water and water use. It wouldn't be fair not to do also a little roast. So it's one of my colleagues, shoot, I can't share my screen. I have a great picture to share with you all from 1992, but I think I need to be.
Dr.
I'll give you access right now.
Make it happen. This has to happen.
I want to see this picture too. So you should get an invite, Deborah, right now, making you co-host. And then if you hover towards the bottom of your screen, you'll see a share screen icon. It's in.
Yes, it lets me do it. I'm good.
Just don't hit the red button.
Okay. And so here is, I assume you all can see this. So this was in, make it full screen. This was Adele being supportive and friendly in 1992, taking on the role of Santa Claus for the Wastewater Program Management Division. And Jose Fuentes, who worked with you for almost your whole career, Adele, somehow found this. So with this in mind and the spirit that you brought here, I wish you all the best. We're here to support you as you move forward. Let us know what we can do to help. And with that, I'll pass it on to my other colleagues. Let's see, I have to stop sharing. Shoot. How do I stop sharing? Okay.
I did it for you, Deborah. You're good.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I think we have John Reamer joining us too, if you'd like to say a few words.
Most certainly. Adele, how appropriate. The Santa Claus, man bearing gifts for so many. Adele, congratulations to you. You've heard me say before, because I've heard so many people say, no one really cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Adele, your conscientious attitude regarding expectations clearly demonstrates that you care. In the time that I have had the blessing to serve with you, you've done nothing but reach out and encourage and help in any way you can. Wanted to know how things were going, and it didn't matter who it was. And so I've just been blessed. We've been blessed, the Bureau of Contract Administration, to serve with you, Adele, to enjoy your leadership and the change that you have made and the inclusiveness that you always have in everything that you do. Adele, look, I watched, especially most recently, with a particular contract, and you probably know the one I'm referring to, long-standing contract, and yours was to make sure that no one was injured and everyone had an opportunity to continue to be a part of this. So, Adele, that speaks to who you are. This book that I love to read, it speaks to a good name. A good name is more precious than any jewel you could ever have. And Adele, you indeed have a good name. Someone came to me and asked, what do you know about this Adele Haj Khalil? And I'm reluctant at times to give a recommendation, but this was so easy because of who you are and what you stand for and how you present yourself. So blessings to you, my friend. May you do well, as I'm sure you will, and continue to thrive and bless this entire region in this role. Be well.
Thank you. Those are beautiful words spoken by everyone here. And I would be remiss if we didn't have, I'm going to call on Martin, even though he turned off his camera. And he does so much work behind the scenes. If you wanted to say a few words, Martin. Maybe he stepped away.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I'm here. Thank you. And I certainly don't want to take more of your time here. I did try to find a photo that's an appropriate background here that integrated a couple of Adele's experiences. We've got a reference point for sanitation with all the blue bins behind me. So we all strive to leave the world a better place than we found it, and I think we've all found Adele to have the kind of impact we all hope to have, and that is you come to a place, you help fix some things, you help inspire, you bring momentum, you bring reassurance and camaraderie. And I've seen that when I was first met him and was working with him as he was on sanitation and water issues, and I've certainly seen it firsthand at Streets LA. And the importance is that impact doesn't go away the moment that you step away. And I think the words you're hearing from all of your colleagues here are that we're committed to continuing that culture, that progress, that commitment to sustainability, and in the way that Mr. Reamer just expressed, it's because you were making those impacts with such good faith and such an embracing and inclusive approach that people want that to continue. So I'm thrilled to be a part of this discussion today and to really just be able to witness and learn from and be a part of the improvements that you've brought in your time here. So thank you so very, very much.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning and sharing your thoughts. And I'm glad that this is being recorded so that he'll be able to enjoy with his family. And at this time, I'm just going to turn the virtual gavel back to our President Good.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Thank you all for joining. I'd actually like to give Dr. Davis an opportunity and Commissioner Villegas, and then I'll wrap this up.
Thank you very much, President Good, and to Adele, congratulations on a well-deserved position where I know you will give the kind of outstanding leadership that you gave to Los Angeles to the whole entire Southern California region. You are very deserving. As in the words of Carol Burnett, it seems like before we get started, it's time to say so long. You have done a great job when we look over your 30-plus year career in terms of water. But I think John Reamer really focuses in on something that's very valuable, and that is that when you had an issue of challenge, you rose to the occasion to not cast shadow, but to cast light. And you demonstrated that not only the skills that you have gained in water, but that the skills that you have gained in terms of compassion and leadership, and as I said, in casting light. And you demonstrated in looking at these various challenging areas, such as in the contract, that we don't want to, as you said in your own words, Adele, we don't want to pull the curtains or the sheets out from under someone. We want to lead with compassion. You've demonstrated that. And I will conclude by saying that this skill that you have, not only in water, but in diversity and inclusion and equity, will serve you well, because it is singularly the most important public value in organizations in this country today. And so as you go to Metropolitan Water District, we are confident that you will represent the kind of leadership that we have in the various departments in the city of Los Angeles that serve us well and that are prepared to serve others well. Congratulations, and we look forward to continuing to work with you in your new capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Commissioner Villegas, anything else you'd like to say?
Just a thank you, and thank you, President Good, for catching that. That I neglected to let my own colleagues speak. Epic fail, sorry. I do just want to say thank you. And let Adele know that, you know, even if we're not going to be seeing him here in the city of Los Angeles, we'll certainly feel his leadership at MWD. And we know that our paths will cross, because inevitably they do in this line of work. And it's been a pleasure getting to know him for many years, and it's been a pleasure getting to work side by side with him and learning about his style and his leadership roles with the city of Los Angeles. I wish him the best, and until we meet again, Adele. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. So I don't think Adele is actually hearing this, but he will watch, that is for sure. Couple of quick notes. One is, you know, anytime you manage to inspire a Carol Burnett quote in your goodbyes or your hellos or whatever, that's special, rare stuff.
Adele joined here again.
So you brought Carol Burnett into the fold here, Adele. So that was beautiful. I'm glad you're here, because the other one I wanted to know. By the way, Deborah's picture was brilliant. What I'm shocked by is in this whole process of the last couple of weeks is that we've yet to get see a picture in and I can't remember exactly what the name was, Adele, but in the oil, fats, and grease superhero.
Oh, Grease Avenger.
That's right.
The Grease Avenger. Yeah.
The Grease Avenger. I mean, look, Adele, I defy you to go in day one at MWD in your Grease.
I'll be Aquaman.
That's actually perfect too. The sequel. I love it. Hey, I will. I'll be quick, believe it or not, because everybody's hit it. There are a couple of things I do want to say. You know, we talk about types of leadership all the time, and everyone has spoken quite eloquently and effusively about the kindness and compassion with which you lead. I think that for me, that's really manifest in a style of leadership we talked about, which is servant leadership. You are a servant leader, and you I mean, you embody that, and it's something that we all learn from, and watch and really benefit from, not only again in terms of our own learning, but in terms of the work. You pepper that sage servant leadership with the enthusiasm and the energy and the creativity of a child. You know no limits to the sense of possibility. You function at all times with a sense of possibility. And then you do that with this sort of foundational wisdom of a shaman. I mean, and that is a wildly potent mix that has genuinely transformed one bureau. It actually defined a crucial division of another. And it gives me faith and confidence in our ability and prospects for navigating what is genuinely an existential crisis, i.e. parenthetical, watch what you wish for, Adele, because you got a big job ahead. But I am confident because of you. You know, along with that, I would just say you're a man of genuine kindness. I've never spent any time with you that I didn't enjoy. And I too, as Barbara alluded to, look forward to this only being a next step in our work together and our opportunities to positively impact lives together. And so thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your friendship. Congratulations. You have a vast city family here that both have your back, have your front, and are counting on you, but can be counted on. And so congratulations, brother. I love you too.
Thank you. I love you too. I love you, everyone. Thank you very much for. I wish I can be there in person with each and every one of you. Thank you. Can I say a couple of things?
Please, I would be offended if you didn't. I'm joking.
Hopefully, I can still. Hopefully, you can still hear me.
We got.
Let's say to everyone, to Commissioner VA, our legacy, Davis, to all of you, thank you for this recognition. This is humbling for me, and that we all share the same thing. Serving people, uplifting communities, uplifting the life of people. And I'll accept the impact it has on other lives. And I was honored throughout my life and my careers to help impact people's lives, but people have impacted my life. So to all of you, thank you for making my life what it is today, because I won't be here without your love and support, without your partnership. And I want to say to Keith, congratulations, Keith, for taking the helm at CTLA. Couldn't be any prouder of you. To Greg, to Stephanie, to Schlegeter, to the team, everyone, you guys have been amazing. And I am here because of the work that you have done. To the 1,200 employees we have at CTLA, including people. This together we spent many years. The Bureau of Engineering, we spent many years. All the bureaus from John Reamer to Gary or to you know, I know he has left the city. I want to say thank you to him and for his leadership and everything, to the team there in sanitation. Thank you. You know, to me, it's about people, and I'm just honored, privileged to be able to continue serving. I worked my life to be where I am today, to help move us forward, and I'm just going to continue working with everyone. I'm honored that everyone stood with me, and you know, it takes a village to move forward, and I'm going to bring people together. I'm going to move forward because what I'm doing right now is helping us create a sustainable future for Los Angeles, for our Southern California region, for our state, and for our country. And you know, it's a sad day for me leaving the city. I love the city. I love everybody in the city. But this is a platform that I think I can really bring my skills to a place that needs it badly and urgently. And so I'm going to come in and use my 3 I's: integration, innovation, and inclusion, enhancing the quality of life for everyone. And I'm going to work hard for each and every person in this region. Doesn't matter where you are or where you live. And I'm going to focus on underserved communities. I'm going to focus on equity. I'm going to focus on workforce development and also creating a sustainable water future for all of us, focusing on local water supply. So, Mayor Garcetti, I had a lunch with him. I'm honored to have had him support me, and I'm honored to have served under his leadership. He said, just lead with your heart, lead with love, not lead with honored with the council. And bring people together.
We're losing you, Adele.
Okay, that's it. I think I'm gonna say love you guys. Thank you for everything, and look forward to seeing you all in person. I think I lost you here.
No, we got you. We get you.
Okay.
We got your big finish, and it was great. We got.
I want to say just thank you very much.
Thank you, Adele. Enjoy the rest of your vacation. You're not going to have one again for a decade. All right. So I don't know where to go from there, except that we have this little agenda that we need to deal with. So, folks, on to the more mundane but incredibly critical work. As Adele would do himself, we will jump into the remainder of our agenda. Thank you all for joining us. Those who are here for Adele, thank you all, and see everybody later. Colleagues, let's move on to item 1. This is the receipt of bids for the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant Perimeter Road Improvements, CIP 2447. Work order SZH 11858. Estimated cost $5,938,000, and this is in CD 11. And then also we will open the bids for Vision Zero Phase 2E traffic signal improvements. Work order E1908828. Estimated cost $5,666,334. This is in CDs 1, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, and 15. Good morning, Matthew. Good morning, Dr. Campos. Yes.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. We will now begin to open up the bid again for the first project, the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant in 2011. We received 3 bids for this first project. The first bid received is from Clark Contracting Corporation for a total bid amount of $7,426,070 even. That's 7426070 from Clark Contracting Corporation. The second bid received for the first project is from Built Construction Incorporated for a total bid amount of $6,749,790 even. That's 6749790 from Built Construction Incorporated. The third and final bid received for the first project is from Ford Incorporated for a total bid amount of $6,463,000 even. That's 6463000 from Ford Incorporated. Mr. President, that concludes the bid openings in the first project. If you'd like, I can go ahead and start the bid openings for the second project. Did you do that, Mr. President? Or?
Yes, I did.
We'll now begin to open up bids for the second project. The second project is the Vision Zero Phase 2 East South Signal Improvement. We received 4 bids in total, again, 4 bids for the second project. The first bid received for the second project is from Elecnor Velcro Electric Incorporated for a total bid amount of $5,422,800 even. That's 5422800 from Elecnor Velcro Electric Incorporated. The second bid received for the second project is from Foxconn Electrical and Data Incorporated for a total bid amount of $5,808,982 even. That's 5808983 from Foxconn Electrical and Data Incorporated. For the record, line item 33 and line item 40 has been tossed out by the contractor, and both lines have been initiated. The third bid received for the second project is from BPW Incorporated, doing business as Donna Electric LA, for a total bid amount of $5,180,100 even. That's 5180100 from BPW Incorporated, doing business as Donna Electric LA. The fourth and final bid received for the second project is from International Line Builders Incorporated, doing business as ILD Electric, for a total bid amount of $5,115,034 even. That's 5115034 from International Line Builders Incorporated. For the record, line item number 20 has been tossed out by the contractor. It has been initiated. Mr. President, that concludes the bill to the second project and also all bids for today's agenda.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. Do I have a motion to accept these bids?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Any concerns or objections? President Pro Tem Davis.
Mr. President, continue to move that and seconded by Commissioner Villegas.
Yes. Yeah. Both bids is one item. Is that yes? Any objections, President Pro Tem Davis?
None for me. No objections.
All right. So both sets of bids are received and adopted forthwith. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Dr. Campos. Okay, colleagues, that brings us to item number 2. Item number 2 is task order solicitation number 082, SOMAS, pre-qualified on-call bridge, civil engineering, and other design and support services consultants list, Eastern Avenue Multimodal Transportation Improvement Project. Recommending the board, 1, authorize the city engineer to issue the TOS to SOMAS from the pre-qualified on-call bridge, civil engineering, and other design and support services consultants list to provide engineering support services for the project approval and environmental document phase for the Eastern Avenue Multimodal Transportation Improvement Project, as stated in TOS number 082, with a budget authority of $955,000, which includes contingency. Work order E700416A C-134481. Mr. Gibson, are you here on this item?
I am. Good to be here with everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. So Scott Gibson here with the Bureau of Engineering Bridge Improvement Division.
I'll go ahead and start off with a bit of background on the Eastern Avenue Multimodal Transportation Project. The State Route 710 North Extension was a proposal to connect the southern terminus of the 210 freeway in Pasadena with the 710 freeway terminus in Alhambra. Back in 2008, voters approved Measure R, which allowed allocations of $780 million in funding, supplemented by $297 million in previously secured federal and state funds to bridge the gap between the two freeways. In 2015, Metro initiated an environmental impact report to determine the best alternative to close the transportation gap. And in 2017, Metro voted to support transportation demand management, transportation system management alternative, and allocate $730 million to the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments and $297 million to the City of LA, County of LA, to implement mobility improvement projects in areas that are impacted by the freeway extension not being built. In September of 2019, Metro approved $100 million for Phase 2 of mobility improvements for the City of LA, which includes the Eastern Avenue Multimodal Transportation Improvements, which has roughly $16.4 million programmed. In December of 2019, City Council authorized respective city departments to carry out the approved project. So this project is approximately 1.5 miles in length and is located east of downtown Los Angeles. The proposed project will provide infrastructure improvements, including street improvements, increased safety and mobility, pedestrian bike facilities, transit accessibility improvements, and other traffic safety enhancements. The project is also intended to improve transit services and ridership, connectivity to significant destinations, and access to employment centers, educational and healthcare facilities, parks, and recreational centers. The intent and purpose of the project approval and environmental document phase is to clearly define the purpose, need, and project footprint by evaluating the existing conditions and documenting the existing constraints, identifying the full range of alternatives, conducting traffic analysis and assessments, and carrying the project environmental phase to final approval. This task also includes significant efforts, stakeholder coordination, and public involvement. BOE's solicitation was sent out to all 30 firms on the bridge and civil engineering PQOC list. 7 firms responded, and all 7 firms were interviewed by a panel that consisted of experienced project managers from BOE, Street Services, and LADOT. Panelists reviewed the proposals, qualifications, and experience of the consulting firms and determined that STOMAS demonstrated the most comprehensive understanding of the project, presented the most complete alternative development process, and possessed the experience to bring innovative concepts to blend roadway, transit, context-sensitive improvements to this project. BOE and STOMAS negotiated a final task amount of $900,822 with a contingency of $54,178 for a total budget authority of $955,000 for this POS. This project is 100% funded by the Federal Regional Surface Transportation Program and therefore follows the disadvantaged business enterprise participation requirements. The city set an anticipated DVE participation level of 8%. STOMAS is pledging just over 8% for this task. Front funds will be from the Transportation Grant Fund number 655, which will be reimbursed at 100%, and there is no impact to the general fund. So this concludes my presentation on this task, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Carter. Is that me?
Something's wrong with the system, with the Zoom system, it seems like.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem to be doing that to you. Now it's good. Okay. All right. Colleagues, any questions? President Pro Tem Davis.
Yes. SOMAS is what it's called, correct?
Correct.
And it appears that, according to your report, we all of those who were involved in the decision-making process decided that this was the best of those presenting in terms of the project, correct? That we have, of course. What is the time period that we anticipate we will get started on this project if it's passed today?
Well, they've sort of already been working behind the scenes, I think, and doing research in the area. So they're eager to get started right away. I think as soon as this gets adopted, we'll issue the NTP right away, and they're
Great. And how long do we anticipate from the proposal and the plans that we've reviewed that this project will be complete? I know we can't promise specifically, but I'm just interested in terms of our plans. What is the proposed time that we think it will take us to complete this project?
Do you mean just this phase, or do you mean
just
this phase? Our schedule is roughly 12 months.
Okay. And then in terms of the long-term effort, what's the anticipated time period there?
It's difficult
Hard to say.
Yeah, it's difficult for me to say right now. I can look into that and get back to you. But yeah, it's difficult to say right now.
So did you say that in your presentation that this project came about in lieu of our failure to not have expanded the other freeway in the past? Is that right?
Correct. My understanding is, the community voted on that project and ultimately voted against extending the freeway, of the 710 freeway to the 710. So, these projects are in lieu of that freeway extension.
Okay, so, and alternatively, what will it do? It will certainly increase transportation, hopefully enhance the promotion of stakeholders supporting businesses along the corridor area, correct?
So it's intended to, obviously, increase ridership, make it more pedestrian and bike friendly, bring people to the community. It's meant to sort of make it as a sort of like a hub, and a more inviting community, but also increase ridership and transit transportation services.
Great. Well, I'm very happy to see an alternative being implemented in lieu of the fact that we weren't able to do what we would love to have done. So I certainly support this, and I appreciate the MTA and other stakeholders coming together to do something, because as we move forward in the things that we're needing to do as a city, it's critically important to have services in all of our neighborhoods, in all of our communities. So thank you for this motion.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Gaines?
Thank you. I get some back feed.
Dr. Campos, any idea what is happening there?
No, the only thing that I can isolate is Mr. Gibson. Perhaps when the commissioners are asking a question, if you can go on mute, and then once you respond back, thank you, Mr. Gibson.
Try that. Seems to be working. Thank you. I'm familiar with this work and with the project. It's in CD 14. Is that correct? I think it is. I feel this is the first. Is this the first part of this work on Eastern?
Yeah, correct. We're at what we call the pre-design phase. So this is really just the inception of this corridor.
Okay. Thank you for that. And then I just wanted to clarify the numbers for I understand that all of the funds for this work are coming from federal funds. So just if you can just repeat all the primes and the sub-consultants, they all are going towards the disadvantage, right? The DBE and OBE.
Sorry, are you just looking for the DBEs or just all of the subs in general?
All of the subs in general, they're all. I I'm not the expert in this, but I just see all of the percentages here, so they're compliant with our federal requirements to be able to get a minority-owned business or a disadvantaged an enterprise, and if you can just speak to that.
Yeah, so federal requirements are eight, where the city has set a requirement of 8% of disadvantaged business, and that includes all minority-owned, women-owned, and sort of encompasses all of those disadvantaged businesses. We set the rate at 8%. The Alliance Group will be doing roughly 6.4%. The Land Econ Group will be doing roughly 8.7%. So, they are just over that 8%. We realize this is just sort of barely above the threshold, but we anticipate if someone is selected for the next phase of this design, they will make every effort to increase that. They've performed a lot of work for us, the Bridge program. They've always made every effort to get the DB percentage as high as possible. So that's always our goal, is to get the highest DB certification as possible.
Okay. So for this money is coming from the feds. Is this the requirement of the 8%?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And the Alliance Group Enterprise, is that work that they'll be doing? Do you know? Is that
Their specific tasks?
Yeah.
They are generally more civil and street lighting and street work and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And Land Econ, I could be wrong, but that they may be surveys. I don't know.
Okay.
I believe that's.
That's fine. That's fine. I appreciate it. Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. I don't have any further questions, Mr. Gibson. Thank you. My colleagues got through a good deal of it. I know I suspect you're up on the next item as well, which is obviously related. So I will take a motion to adopt the item.
So move. Oh, second. I'll second. It's your department.
I'll take the motion from Commissioner Villegas and second from President Pro Tem Davis, and I vote yes. So we have no objections, and the item is adopted forthwith. So then don't go anywhere, Mr. Gibson. That will bring us to item number 3. Item number 3 is task order solicitation number 081, Michael Baker International, pre-qualified on-call bridge, civil engineering and other design and support services consultants list, Huntington Drive Multimodal Transportation Improvement Project. Recommending the board authorize the city engineer to issue TOS number 081 to Michael Baker International from the pre-qualified on-call bridge, civil engineering and other design and support services consultants list to provide engineering support services for phase 1 of the project approval and environmental document phase for the Huntington Drive Multimodal Transportation Improvement Project as stated in TOS number 081 with a budget authority of $1,500,000, which includes contingencies. Work order E700418A and C-134468. All right, Mr. Gibson.
Thank you. So this project is the same funding as the Eastern project. It's also being funded through the funds originally allocated for the 710 extension. Again, back in 2019, Metro approved $100 million for phase 2 of mobility improvements for the city of LA, which includes the Huntington Drive multimodal transportation improvements, which has $17 million programmed. And in December of 2019, City Council authorized respective city departments to carry out the approved project. This project lies along a 2.9-mile section of Huntington Drive between Mission Road and Kendall Avenue within the city. The project will provide corridor improvements such as mobility and access improvements, pedestrian access enhancements, transit infrastructure improvements, and potentially a dedicated bus rapid transit route to improve mobility in the corridor, since the corridor was identified as a strong candidate in the Metro's Los Angeles County Bus Rapid Transit and Street Time Improvement Study in 2013. This project also aims to increase transit service, connectivity, transit ridership, and improve access to employment centers, educational healthcare facilities, and parks and recreational centers. This task order is for the first part of the project approval and environmental document phase, in which we want to clearly define the purpose and need of the project, evaluate existing conditions and constraints, conduct traffic analysis assessment, and identify the full range of viable alternatives for the corridor. This task also includes significant efforts in stakeholder coordination and public involvement. BOE's solicitation was sent out to all 30 firms on the bridge and civil engineering PQOC list. 7 firms responded, and all 7 firms were interviewed by a selection panel, including project managers from BOE Street Services and LA DOT. The panelists reviewed the proposals, qualifications, and experience of the consulting firms, and determined that Michael Baker International demonstrated the most comprehensive understanding of the project, presented the most complete alternative development process, and possessed the experience to bring innovative concepts to blend roadway, transit, context-sensitive improvements to the project. DOE and Michael Baker negotiated a final task amount of $1,496,300.54, with a contingency of $3,699.46, for a total budget authority of $1.5 million for this task. This project is 100% funded by the Federal Regional Surface Transportation Program, and therefore allows the disadvantaged business enterprise participation requirements. We said that the DBE participation level is also set at 8%. Michael Baker has pledged 41% for this task. Front funds will be from the Transportation Grant Fund number 655, which will be reimbursed at 100%, and there is no impact to the general fund. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. Commissioner Villegas?
Thank you. I don't have any questions on this one. I appreciate it. Thank you for your report.
Thank you, Commissioner. President Pro Tem Davis.
Yes. Did you say that, Gibson, did you say that Baker has pledged 41% DBE?
That's correct.
Okay. And we've worked with Baker before, obviously, huh? Have we?
You know, this is the first time I've worked with them at the bridge program. I don't know if they've, this may be their first job with the city, but really, to be honest, I'm not sure. It's the first time I've worked in the bridge program.
Okay, so what happened? What is the time period of the project being proposed here? What's our anticipated?
So again, this is also 12 months. The scope for this task is a little bit less than that on Eastern, just because it's a much larger stretch. And so we do have more funds that we can apply for at the end of this fiscal year. And so, you know, we can either re-advertise to get through the environmental process, or possibly this task could be amended to include the environmental task as well.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Gibson.
Yes, Commissioner.
Good. Thank you. I just had one. I don't have a question. I just I saw the exact radius. I think it starts on Kendall and Huntington Drive. So I'm familiar with this area very well. Just used to live near there. And I just wanted to let you know, in terms of just a kind of coordination, if you're going to be making improvements to Huntington Drive, the city of South Pasadena, that's just next door, is doing improvements on Huntington Drive as well. And those, I'm not sure if you want to kind of coordinate. They're making some stormwater improvements. if you want to, and doing additional landscaping, if there's any possibility for, just so it's either seamless or mirroring. I'm just letting you know that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. So, Mr. Gibson, just for clarity, so how many, or are these the only two? I mean, I think we're all pretty familiar with the process that happened and the sort of shift in project planning and scope. Are these the only two packages, or are there going to be more subsequent packages moving forward?
So this is phase 2. I believe phase 1 included the improvements on Soto, which are currently under construction. And then in phase 2, Shirley Lau with the bridge program presented on Valley Boulevard a few months ago. So we've already held the first community meeting for Valley. That was held on May 4th. So all three of these corridors are sort of intertwined. So, all of the consultants have been made aware that there will be significant coordination required, not only for the design of the project, but also for community outreach. So, we have one central website for all three of these corridors, but we also have outreach consultants for each project more specifically. So there is a lot of coordination.
That's great, and I assume that, which is great. I just wanted to wrap my arms around or head around the scope, because I know that again, this is Metro with a ton of input from the community made the shift to these sort of almost like distributed projects, right? For mobility improvement projects. And I just was curious if there's more coming, and I couldn't remember the geographic scope. So it's going to be 3 basic packages.
Correct. Those are the only 3 I'm aware of for this phase, for the current phase.
Okay, great. All right, thank you, Mr. Gibson. Do I have a motion to move the item?
So moved.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Second, Commissioner Villegas.
I'll second that. Thank you.
All right, I will vote in the affirmative. With that, we have no objections, and the item is adopted forthwith. Thank you very much, Mr. Gibson.
Thank you.
All right, colleagues and public, we're going to take a 5-minute recess. We will return at 11:39 a.m. So thank you all, and talk in a second.
Dr. Fernando Campos.
You're not on. Here we go.
Members of the general public, the Board of Public Works will now be on recess for the next 5 minutes till about 11:39, 11:40. If you stay on the line, the council audio lines are still open to the general public. Thank you.
The recording has stopped.
Mr. President, I'm going to go ahead and start the recording for you. Give me about 30 seconds just to confirm.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, recording is now in session on both recording systems. Mr. President, I can go ahead and reestablish quorum for you if you'd like.
Please do. Thank you, Dr. Campos.
Perfect. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, reestablishing quorum. It's 11:43 in the morning for Wednesday, June 30th. We have President Good, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioner Villegas. President Good, you do have quorum.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. So we have pulled item 4 for today, and that brings us to item number 5. Item number 5 is a task order solicitation, cost number 8, Alta Planning Plus Design Inc., pre-qualified on-call list, on-call consultants list, backlog reduction program, Vision Zero initiative program, and South Bay multi-year sub-regional program. Recommending the board authorize the city engineer to issue the TOS Alta Planning Plus Design Inc. from the pre-qualified on-call consultants list to provide design and design support services during construction For the Backlog Reduction Program, the Vision Zero Initiative Program, and the South Bay Multi-Year Sub-Regional Program curb ramps at various locations. And TOS number 8, with a budget authority of $1,106,279, including contingency. Work order E1908823, E1908826, E1908822, C-134314. Looks like Mr. Chen is with us on this item. Good morning, Mr. Chen.
Good morning, President Good and Commissioners. I'm Steve Chen with the Bureau of Engineering. I'm here to, this item before you here is to issue a task order solicitation to alter planning from the pre-qualified on-call consultants list to provide design support design support for construction for various programs, DOT projects, including the Backlog Reduction Program, Vision Zero Initiative Program, and the South Bay multi-year sub-regional program for curb ramp design at various locations. So basically, the LA DOT has undertaken a series of traffic signal improvements intended to improve traffic safety throughout the city. And these projects include designing and constructing traffic signal improvements across the entire city at key intersections. They have separated these into 3 programs, and which I had mentioned earlier. The Vision Zero program basically includes the highest incidence of traffic fatalities and severe injuries, and the Backlog Reduction program, again, targeted safety-related traffic signal projects. The South Bay multi-sub-regional program includes locations to improve pedestrian accessibility and connectivity at existing crosswalk locations within the city. Associated with these projects, all these traffic signal improvement projects, is the need for upgrading the associated curb ramps, which are non-compliant with the American Disabilities Act. And so in total, we have about approximately 50 intersections throughout all these 3 projects, or about almost 200 individual curb ramps that need to be either upgraded or even sometimes no curb ramp exists and need to create a new curb ramp to make it compliant. In addition, the improvements also include street pavement to provide proper drainage, in some cases storm drain relocation, street lights, power poles, or guy wire anchors that need to be relocated, and other miscellaneous items such as fire hydrants that may need to be relocated or reconfigured, or adjustment of toll boxes or meter boxes. So we anticipate that all these projects would be designed in a year, by July 1st of 2022. We expect construction to be completed by December of 2023, and the total project budget is about $7.5 million. So as far as selecting the consultants for this task order solicitation, we solicited cost proposals from all 26 consulting firms on the pre-qualified on-call list. 3 of those consultants were responsive and submitted proposals. That included Alto Planning, MGE Engineering, and Canon Corporation. Subsequently, BOE staff interviewed all 3 consultants, reviewed their scope of work and services and schedule for compliance with the task order tasks, along with their timelines, and along with the qualifications and experience. Alto Planning and Design was selected as a top firm because of their proposal that demonstrated that they possess the necessary experience to design the project's improvements, and will also be able to meet the scheduled timelines required in the task order solicitation. Their initial cost proposal was just over $1 million, and the scope and fee were negotiated for a total design service cost of $881,279. This task is subject to the Business Inclusion Program outreach requirements. We had set the anticipated participation levels at 18% MBE, 4% WBE, 25% SBE, 8% EBE, 3% DVBE, and the consultant in this instance is pledging an MBE participation level of 12.1, WBE participation level 9.5, SBE of 32.5, and EBE of 32.5, and DVBE of 12.1%. Also an OBE participation level of 30.5%. This project is funded, as mentioned, as 3 different projects, so it's funded by multiple funding sources, including the Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Program Special Fund, also known as SB1. It also has transportation grant funds, as well as Measure R local return. And see, that concludes my report. I'd be happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. Commissioner Villegas, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chen. Your report was really clear. I'm just looking over the sub-consultants and all the requirements here. It looks like they're participating at 63%, right, for the MBE, WBE.
Yeah. Yes, correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. President Pro Tem Davis?
Yes. In terms of the inclusion, they are meeting our required goals for inclusion, minority business inclusion, right?
Actually, the NBU goal was 18, and they pledged 12.1, so they're a little bit low on that. However, they do anticipate achieving additional MB participation on future task assignments.
How might they be able to potentially do that?
Well, that's their intention. I mean, on future task orders,
Sure.
There's given other opportunities to provide more MBs for participation.
And this program is locally funded, state and local funds, correct?
Well, that's correct, yeah.
Uh-huh. What's the time period of completion for this task?
Yeah, so we estimate about a year right now. So assuming this gets adopted, we expect to have about a 12-month design period for all the 50 intersection locations, and another year, like a year and a half beyond that for construction.
Mm-hmm.
And
So I guess you can say that basically in our communication with the firm, to the best of their ability, they wish to be able to meet what we anticipated to be the minority business goals, if
Yes.
they could, in moving forward. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, we certainly would love to see them be able to move in that direction if it's humanly possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Yeah, this is a pretty sweeping project of projects, for sure. I mean, I found that interesting too. I mean, for all intents and purposes, just so we're all clear, Mr. Chen, the line, the consultant anticipates achieving the full MBE goal on future TOS assignments. That's assuming they get future TOS assignments.
Yeah.
That's not relative. That's not, frankly, material whatsoever to this project.
That's correct. That they're, yeah, we really can't, I guess at this point, know for sure what the future will hold. But that's their anticipation that they would do that. They would make a focus effort on that.
Which,
yeah.
I could do without that line,
okay.
General, because that's
Sure.
it seems a little unnecessary and kind of pointless. And then one other question, Mr. Chen, and could you repeat? So what are the sources of funding? I wasn't totally clear.
Yeah. So basically, it's a combination of Measure R. Make sure I get this right. Yeah, Measure R local return, which is basically from our tax revenue.
Mm-hmm.
We also have transportation grant funding, which is basically funding from that is a combination of primarily, it's called transportation grant funds, but it includes the local funding from DOT. And then also we have road maintenance and rehabilitation program special funds, also known as SB1, which is state funding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. for future, it'll be great. I think in the status of funding report, just because I'm a limited man, and so if you just list fund numbers, I don't, and fund names, I don't really get it. So if you can list the original sources, that would be great.
You mean in the table?
Or even in the narrative status of funding, just to say this is Measure R, SB1, local grant funding. That would be helpful. Does that make sense?
Yeah. We had that little paragraph under status.
It doesn't say that.
I didn't?
Well, it says, actually, it does say transportation grants. Oh, well, I take that back. You're right. It does. Forgive me, Steve. Forgive me. My apologies. You did. My apologies. Disregard the entire last 30 seconds of your life.
No, it's great. No, thanks for pointing it out.
Pointing out my mistake. Sorry, Steve. All right. Do I have a motion to move the item forward? Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. I'll second President Pro Tem Davis. Any objections?
No objection.
All right. Thank you, Steve. The item is adopted forthwith.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, let's move to item 6. Item 6 is tree removal, Metro Regional tree removal request, Metro Regional Connector Transit Corridor Project. Recommending the board, 1, find under the California Public Resources Code, Section 21166, and the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA guidelines, Section 15162, on the basis of substantial evidence contained in the whole record, that since certification of FEIS and FEIR on April 2012 by Metro, there have been no changes to the project, changes with respect to the circumstances under which the subject tree removals are being undertaken, or new information of substantial importance concerning the project which cause new significant environmental effects or a substantial increase in the severity of previously identified significant effects, and therefore no subsequent EIR and no supplemental EIR is required for the subject tree removal. 2, specify that the Bureau of Street Services Urban Forestry Division located at 1149 South Broadway is custodian of the documents or other material that constitute the record of proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. And 3, review and approve the request for a fee permit for the removal of 9 street trees, which include 6 jacaranda and 3 sweet shade trees for the Metro Regional Connector Transit Corridor Project. Tree replacements and other conditions as specified in this report are required. Mr. Benuelos, I see you are here. Before you start, I know we have, I think, a number of public comments. Dr. Campos, would you like to proceed with that?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. President. We will go ahead and take commentary on item number 6. We have our first caller ending in 408, caller ending in 408. Peter, if you can please press *6 at this time to unmute your microphone. You will have 2 minutes to speak on item number 6. Peter, if you can hear me, there you go.
Yeah, thank you. So I just wanted to, specifically for this project, raise a few issues with it and sort of hopefully ask for this decision to be put off to a future date. First of all, I'd like to sort of raise the point that unfortunately there has actually not been an opportunity for the neighborhood council in downtown to weigh in on the removal of these trees yet. Sort of recently came to their attention that they haven't been getting notified properly of tree removals. And that's hopefully being remedied soon. But I would ask that this item be continued for at least maybe possibly a month, 6 weeks, to allow them time to weigh in and hopefully push for a sort of better resolution than what is on the table today. Additionally, just sort of specifically for this project, I know it was originally 12 trees. It's been cut back to 9. I would hope that we continue to look for ways sort of in that time to delay while the neighborhood council is given time to consider it, to reduce that number even further. And then thirdly, sort of as I had mentioned earlier at the beginning of this meeting, a 2-to-1 replacement for these sorts of like mature trees is just sort of really paltry and insufficient. We're talking about something that took, you know, a piece of infrastructure in downtown, which is already sort of very tree poor, that require, you know, will take decades to replace. And at a 2-to-1, I mean, we're talking the amount of time to get even close to sort of that canopy coverage is going to take an exceedingly long amount of time. So, you know, if you do unfortunately decide to continue to go forward with these, I'd ask that you think of something that is much greater than a 2-to-1 replacement for this. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Peter. We'll move on to the next caller. Caller ending in 631. Caller ending in 631. If you can please press star 6 to unmute your microphone. Sorry about that, Joanne.
It's okay.
Please go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Sorry to preempt it. Joanne D'Antonio, and I'm speaking as chair of the Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance Trees Committee. I contacted a resident who was concerned about tree loss downtown to notify her of this hearing. The trees were not in her neighborhood council area, and she in turn contacted the appropriate neighborhood council. I then received an email from Rick Norton, president of the Downtown LA Neighborhood Council, who has not been able to get the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment to use the correct email address for his neighborhood council. And bottom line, he and his board were not notified in May when the tree removal request was issued and sent to Dunn. Should this item be continued for the outreach problem? Additionally, I would like to know what Metro has done to work with the neighborhood council prior to finalizing their project. Did they discuss what trees might be involved in their approach to construction and work out solutions to try to save more trees? A few weeks ago at one of these hearings, we were told that UFD had someone assigned to Metro projects to try to save trees, but I subsequently asked one of the officials at UFD who this person is and have been told there is actually no one person assigned to Metro's projects. And this is an unfair job for UFD because they can't speak the engineering language to try to suggest a way to keep the trees. Finally, I recognize that this commission is too late in the process making tree removal decisions. We should work together to help make a case for tree removals to be considered prior to any development plans. My council office policy director and also one at CD5 successfully worked to get an environmental planner budgeted for next calendar year to look at projects and save trees at the early stages of projects. Please help to support the hiring of a truly knowledgeable candidate, as it could make your job easier. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. D'Antonio. We'll move on to the last caller on the line for item number 6, caller ending in 585, caller ending in 585. Catherine, if you can go ahead and please press star 6 at this time to unmute your microphone. You will have 2 minutes to speak on item number 6.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Good morning. My name is Catherine McNinney, and I am co-founder of Industrial District Green, a volunteer-led organization which has planted over 400 trees in eastern downtown, which we are actively maintaining. I would urge you all to vote no on agenda item 6, which would remove 9 mature street trees, 6 jacarandas, and 3 sweet shades for a metro project near Hope and 2nd. Urban forestry takes the position that in many cases mature trees can and should be saved. They point to a case study on Cherokee Avenue in Hollywood for how to do it. Glenn Hulley, a NASA scientist who has studied Los Angeles' urban heat island, says preserving mature trees should be a priority. He says, quote, people should be climbing into these trees to stop them from being cut down. Heat waves are not only increasing in frequency and intensity, but also their seasonality is changing, with more heat waves earlier and later in the year. Trees are the most cost-effective way to cool down the urban environment, end quote. Demand Metro design a workaround for these trees. They are simply too valuable to be removed from downtown's already underdeveloped and hardly ever considered urban tree canopy. Further, the community was not engaged about the removal of these trees, and I recently learned that the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment is not sending these transmissions to the Downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council for review. There seems to be some sort of glitch in the system. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Mr. President, that clears out the queue for public comments for item number 6.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. Thank you, callers. Very much appreciated. Mr. Benuelos, why don't you give us your report?
Yes, good morning, or maybe it's close to afternoon anyways, but good morning, everybody. This is Hector Benuelos with Streets LA, Urban Forestry Division. What we have before us is a request for a permit to remove 9 trees as part of Metro's Regional Connector Transit Corridor project. This is a project that's it's intended to connect Little Tokyo Station to the 7th Street, the Metro Station in downtown Los Angeles. As part of this project, there are 3 stations that are proposed to be constructed. The topic of the discussion is the one station being constructed at 2nd Street and Hope Street here in downtown Los Angeles and Council District 14. As a result of the construction of this project here, Metro has been redesigning and realigning a couple of roadways here, actually a few roadways. It's the merger at Flower Street and Hope Street. They're at 2nd Street, are being realigned, and there's a lot of grade changes and other significant construction activities in the area, including excavation for the station. The Metro informed the Streets LA team that they intended to remove several trees, which our Streets LA team has been reviewing and trying to reduce the numbers of trees to be removed. However, 9 trees are in the footprint of the proposed construction will be severely impacted. Initially, Metro did want to remove 12 trees, submitted their application for 12 trees. However, and looking and reviewing the documents, it was revealed that there were 3 trees that are offsite a little bit, a couple blocks or block away from the this whole project here, and it revealed that these trees can be saved and remain in place. And so those are 3 Indian laurel fig trees that were in various locations. They're 3rd and Flower and 5th Street at Flower, and on the corner of West Flower and Wilshire. So those 3 trees will remain. There are the 9 trees. There are 3 sweet shade trees. They're important. They're very sparse crowns on those trees. They're in what was once a landscape median adjacent to 2nd Street at Flower and Hope Street merger. Those trees will be severely impacted by a new roadway, Second Place, that would be proposed to be constructed there at Flower Street. In addition to that, they have 6 jacaranda trees. They're in fair condition, fairly good condition. They measure approximately 12 to 18 inches in diameter by about 35 or 40 feet in height. These are nice looking trees, and unfortunately they're in the footprint of all this construction activity and will be required to be removed as a result of the construction, grade changes, elevations, construction of traffic light controllers, and other street improvement requirements as for this project. If approved, the Metro team will replace trees with a minimum of 18 36-inch box-sized trees be planted within the construction limits and in the immediate area. The Council District 14, the Community Forestry Advisory Committee, and the Department of Native Environment were informed of the tree removal permit request. Council District 14, as well as GFD, Urban Forestry does not want to really see trees removed. We're always striving to keep trees in place whenever possible. Council 14 expressed that as much as they'd like to keep trees and even potentially relocate the trees, they understand that, due to the course nature of the project and all the extractive activity, the trees may need to be removed. And so therefore they're not for the tree removals, but they do understand that the construction needs to proceed and that Metro needs to proceed with completing this project here. And so in all said, the trees need to be removed in order for Metro to continue, in order for the Streets LA to facilitate Metro until they can continue this project here. The tree replacements will be watered for a minimum 3-year period through their establishment. That concludes my presentation. I'm here to address any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Benuelos. Matt Antonelli is with us here from Metro. Before we start opening things up, I'd love to hear from Matt and then also Olga regarding the outreach concerns that we heard in public comment.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate your time. We hear the public comments and we understand the concerns there. I do want to point out that these trees were identified early on in the project. The permit was granted to have the trees removed early on. The local stakeholders asked us to postpone those and keep those there as long as possible, and so we've done that. We've worked with the community to not remove them early on in the project, to keep them there, to take advantage of them. But we're at the point now where we can't wait any longer. And so I do, and I'll turn the time over to Olga here in a second here, but I do want to confirm that we have been meeting with the public and meeting with the stakeholders and doing whatever we can to save the trees and to communicate our plan. So Olga's prepared a couple slides presentation and just showing where this area is at. If you don't mind, if we could turn the time over to her, and I'll be here to help out with any questions that are needed.
That would actually be great, and welcome, Mr. Antonelli. Good morning, Olga. Mr. Arroyo.
Good morning, commissioners. If I may share my screen.
Mr. Arroyo, you should get an invite for co-host rights. You should, if you hover towards the middle of your lower screen, you should see a share screen icon. It's in green. There you go. And if you can just make sure you do not hit the red button that says end. Thank you
for that. And for confirming that you're able to see my screen. I'll just introduce myself again, Olga Arroyo, Metro Community Relations. I oversee the outreach for this project. As Mr. Banuelos explained in his presentation, we are building a new station in the Grand Avenue Arts Bunker Hill community. This is a rendering of that station. It's a 2-story facility that is over 100 feet deep. We are building a pedestrian bridge that will connect the station to Upper Grand, creating greater accessibility for pedestrians and moving them away from Hope Street. Next, I would like to show you the footprint of our construction site highlighted in red. In the background, you can also see the neighboring streets. This is the pre-construction roadway condition back in 2014-2015, prior to Regional Connector starting construction. On the east side is lined by Hope Street. On the west side is lined by southbound Hope Street, which merges into southbound Flower. And in the center of the graphic, you can see Second Place, which is an overpass at that time, and also an extension of GTK Way, which was at grade level. Below Second Place, you had an extension of northbound Flower, which traveled underneath the bridge. And so this reference is important just to provide context as to the changes that Metro is bringing into the community. Here's a rendering of the reconfiguration explained by Mr. Banuelos that Metro will be doing as part of this project. We are able to create bidirectional traffic flow on Flower Street between 1st Street and 3rd Street. You'll have both northbound and southbound traveling in the same area as opposed to what it was before, where they were separated. We're also raising or elevating the roadway so that Second Place, instead of being an overpass, it's now at grade level, merging with Hope Street on the east side. And so these improvements are going to create safer access and mobility for both pedestrians and motorists traveling through this area. And next, I would like to share with you the location of those 9 trees in question. As you can see, they're mostly on the west side of the corridor. And if I can bring your attention to this segment of Flower Street. This is a photo from during the period of construction showing the remaining abutment for that elevated roadway. And so as Mr. Banuelos explained in his presentation, there's a lot of changes that have to be done to the elevation to be able to achieve this reconfiguration. And so the trees identified are closest to where that overpass was and will allow for the elevation adjustments required by the city to be met. In this exhibit, you can see a comparison of the existing trees and proposed trees. Those represented in red are the trees to be removed. Those trees in blue are the ones that we are protecting in place as part of construction. And the green dots represent the trees identified for replacement. In addition, Mr. Bañuelos mentioned the 2-to-1 replacement ratio. Metro is acquiring this green area next to the station, and this is where we're proposing to replant a majority of the trees that are being removed. And so this is a rendering of what the new landscape area will look like. The color circular dots are the trees. The area will be covered with ground cover plants and some hardscape. And so the project's goal, Metro's goal, is to beautify the area once construction is completed and return that to the community. In regards to outreach, we started this process for the new application as early as October of 2020. As Mr. Antonelli mentioned, the application was originally submitted back in 2015, 2016 when the project started. And based on public outreach completed at that time, adjacent stakeholders requested that Metro delay the removal of these trees to the last possible time so that they could continue to enjoy the trees. Metro's contractor agreed to this adjustment and allowed the permit to expire. And so this new application is to now resume those activities that were originally intended to take place back in 2016. And so in October 2020, we briefed elected officials having jurisdiction in this area, as well as the Community Leadership Council. This is an advisory board to Metro, composed of members of the community, including business representatives and residents of the area. We then had a similar presentation on the removal of these trees in our November and December community meetings. These are public meetings accessible to all where we presented this information. Then in December 2020, we had the tree removal application officially submitted to the city. Between December 2020 and April 2021, we held over 20 stakeholder briefings on the tree removal. Keep in mind that this is at the onset of the pandemic, and so a lot of our conversations were virtual presentations via phone or by email. During this period, we also attempted to reach Ms. Patty, and I apologize for not having her last name available, but she is a representative of the Downtown LA Neighborhood Council. And we understand that around this period, also the board was going through elections, and it was the onset of the pandemic. And it's possible that a public presentation was not made to the neighborhood council. However, we did make this information available to other civic institutions in the community, including the residents in the immediate area being affected. And then in January to February, this is when the notices were posted identifying those trees that would be removed. I do want to add that since April, we have been letting the stakeholders adjacent to this area know of a subsequent public hearing. Once the public hearing was scheduled, we did notify stakeholders to advise them of their opportunity to come and voice their opinion regarding this permit. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Ms. Arroyo, can I just ask you to indulge me and just walk through one more time the sequence of in 2016. So this board approved a tree removal permit for these same 9 trees in 2016?
At that time, our application was actually, it covered the entire alignment. And so we had more than these 9 trees. And as part of the dialogue with the community, these 9 trees were salvaged in a sense for a later time. The trees identified in the application, those have been removed as construction has progressed in those areas.
Okay, I'll have a couple more questions, but I want to hand it over to my colleagues first. President Pro Tem Davis?
Yeah, well, in terms of the report, it looks like we have had communication with the council office as well as, I would think, the neighborhood council as well. And there have been some responses to concerns that have been raised by CFAC and others about, of course, always saving the trees. And in looking at the map with the colored charts from the yellow, the blue, and the green, it looks like we've well charted out what we intend to do as far as the trees are concerned. I think on every case that we have presenting, there are going to be some concerns on if we've done our, best in terms of preserving the trees. And we do have cases where we have preserved some trees on projects that have identified trees, and that at the end, when it's presented to us in a motion, we have saved some of those trees. I just wonder, moving forward, as we look at this motion, is there a role for the chief forest officer in terms of the process as we continue to try to look at ways in which, working collectively, we can save more trees in the future? It's just a thought that maybe, but I like the fact that in this particular motion, at least we have some very increased indulgence from the council office. And also they've made sure that the word has gotten out to the constituent base in the neighborhood association. And I think as we continue to ensure that this is done, we can come closer to understanding our potential on these items. And I think this might be an example as to where we've done the best we can do. Thank you.
President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you for that report by Mr. Banuelos and also by the Metro team. I appreciate the comments that were made also just from the neighborhood council, and I just wanted to have a little bit of clarification in terms of the bridge. And I'm actually asking questions pertaining to the project. So in terms of the bridge for 2nd Street, you said that the street was now going to be leveled. So is the bridge going to be removed? Is it going to be demolished?
Yeah, it's already removed. It's already removed right now. It's part of our work area.
Oh, got it. I haven't driven in such a long time through there, I think just because of the pandemic, so I haven't noticed it, but thank you for letting me know that. Okay. All right, so that bridge has been removed. My next set of questions is just in terms of your timeline and this request to get to remove the 9 trees. What kind of a timeline are you in terms of, I'm asking this because it seems to me, just from what you all explained, that the neighborhood council in downtown was communicated to, but apparently, from what I understand, there's a change in leadership. So this new council has not yet heard this. Is that correct?
Yes, that could be one of the reasons why there was a gap in communication.
Okay. All right. And then I was just wondering, in terms of your timeline, is there, can we seek to get them the presentation before decisions made, in the next 2 weeks or something like that? I'm just throwing that out there as a possibility. Obviously, outreach is an infinite amount of people to communicate with, and there's always going to be somebody left out, but we do want to give at least the due diligence to these folks just to be able to hear out the project and just to learn a little bit more, and to be able to give them just their space so that they can learn a little bit more as well and just share ideas. And I wasn't sure if that is at all a possibility.
Yeah, I would say the timeline, I mean, we're in our final restoration phases, and this is part of the work is finishing the curb and gutter in the streets. If we were to, if you were to ask me, is it completely critical that this has to be done in the next 2 weeks? I think we can work with you and find a way to push this off for 2 additional weeks. I think that we need to start the work soon, and I don't want to push this off too long. Again, we work with the community where we're trying to push this off as long as possible, but at some point we do have to restore the street and open it back up to the public. So I think that for Metro, and I don't want to necessarily speak on behalf of Olga here, because it's going to be on her shoulders to carry this load. But if the request is to wait 2 additional weeks and have an additional community meeting, I think we could work that out as long as we can get this done by mid-July at the latest.
Okay, I appreciate that, Mr. Antonelli. And then, did you want to say anything else, Ms. Arroyo?
I would just second what Mr. Antonelli mentioned. We're more than willing to meet with anyone who is interested in the project and wants to understand what we are presenting. And so if the Neighborhood Council is available in the next 2 weeks, we're more than happy to meet with them at a time that is convenient to them.
Okay. All right. And I appreciate that. Thank you very much for your flexibility. I understand that the Neighborhood Council requested at least like a 6-week extension, and I'm just trying to be mindful of everyone's needs. And so I appreciate at least just delaying a decision for 2 weeks, just to be able to get them to be able to at least hear you all out, and also just for them to be able to share some of their ideas as well. That would be helpful. I don't have further questions right now. I don't have a President Good. I'm not making a motion, but just if you had any other questions, then I can follow that. You're muted.
Okay. First off, just going back, and Mr. Antonelli, Ms. Arroyo, I'm not an engineer or transportation specialist by any stretch whatsoever. So I just am I want to just understand. So forgive I'm looking at the screen. So hope becomes flower. And what we're talking about doing is reconfiguring flower, right, to become basically 2-way as opposed to 1-way. And the work is on the east, the work's on the east side of flower, right? The station's in that whole island, that massive footprint there. And I sort of get the top 3 trees at the sort of fork. I know there's a reasonable explanation. Why are those other 6 trees, why do they have to be taken out? The ones on the sort of west side of flower?
Yeah, I understood the question exactly. If you can imagine, in order to get that all to level out as these 2 levels come back to 1, you have to lower that street profile, even though it's outside of our necessary work zone, in order for us to match that intersection and to have a smooth grade that meets the city requirements. And so what's happening is as we're changing the profile on the street, we're either, as you raise or lower profiles, those trees get affected. And so even though we're not necessarily widening into those trees, there's no way to keep those trees in place, those ones that we've called out, with the new profiles and the new street restoration plans that we have approved. Hopefully that answers your question.
That does. That clarifies, Matt. I appreciate that. And then, so I was intrigued and didn't frankly realize. So on the south side of 3rd Street, you're going to create this sort of green space with a bunch of trees. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, that's correct. It's just south of our new station.
And so it'll actually be on 3rd Street, just sort of like west of the bridge, right?
In between the Station and Third.
Approximately, and I'm not committing you to memory, I'm just curious for either one of you. How many trees approximately in that?
Olga, do you know the number on that?
Come on, give me an exact number, Olga. I'm being a mess.
I actually don't recall the number, but I know we have support staff on the call, and I don't know if Seth may know that number.
Yeah, we have our contractor and our Metro Engineering team on the call, so if anyone knows the exact number of trees put there, if you can speak up.
Yes, I do. This is Seth. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Hi, yes. It's the total number of trees on site is 40.
Okay.
40 trees within that, within that zone. And then an additional 29 trees being planted on the streets around it. So those will be the city street trees is 29, and the ones on the metro property will be 40.
Thank you, Seth.
So, thank you. So the 40, first of all, that green space across the street from the station seems like it's going to be, to use a scientific term, very cool. Cool and cool. Two, that's independent of any sort of replacement framing here, correct?
That includes our replacement trees. We have to plant replacement trees along our alignment, and to be quite open, it's a little difficult to find homes for the amount of trees that we need to put it, and so this green space does account for the 2-to-1 replacements for the entire alignment.
Okay.
Not total. It's just those trees are included in the total number.
Okay. Well, several thoughts for folks. One is that I do feel compelled, and I appreciate very much the general comment, to make a couple of observations. One, it is true. We get these items very, very, very late. And we get them very late on lots of different types of projects. I think it is crucial to stipulate, not stipulate, but to just acknowledge the fact that it would be inaccurate to suggest that somehow this project, the regional connector, is some sort of rapacious development pirate that's just gobbling up trees without remorse. And as a avowed believer in the superhero nature of trees, I am also an avowed believer in the superhero nature of transit. And the single most damaging polluter and contributor to greenhouse gases in the state of California is emissions from vehicles. And the utility of this project should not, cannot, at least from my perspective, will not be diminished in this conversation. That said, we work as a body, as bureaus, as a department to find a balance. And so I think we should all assume best intentions, because we're all working to shared goals here. And I say that to literally everyone involved in this conversation. That said, we put a very high premium on outreach. I do think we can all stipulate to the fact that there's been a lot of outreach. Whether or not in the course of that everyone was reached, it's an imperfect science. As a former community organizer, getting everybody is never possible. That said, I do think it's important for a whole bunch of folks who have been, this is sort of the other side of this conversation, a whole bunch of folks who have been seriously impacted by this very serious project, and I know that Mr. Antonelli and Ms. Arroyo would say the exact same thing. A bunch of folks who've had serious impacts on their lives for years now. I'm obviously sensitive to the fact that everybody, it's possible, everyone that we can possibly make sure that they understand what's going to happen here should, if it doesn't undermine the ability to get things done. And so with that, and I say this with some trepidation, but I would entertain a motion to continue to the item we're on recess next week. So Wednesday the 14th, our next board meeting after Friday. I'll motion to continue. Do I have any objections to Wednesday the 14th? Now, colleagues?
I will second that motion.
Be aware, and I know Dr. Campos is about to tell us this, we have a mega item that day. So clear your schedules and plan to be here as long as necessary. Dr. Campos, I cut you off because I knew where you're headed. But
you read my mind. As long as the board is aware that the La Gloria appeals is scheduled for the 14th, then this item could be either delayed or your board could consider this first before the La Gloria appeal. So,
which I think we'll
do it first. Let's do it first.
We'll handle that then. But thank you, Dr. Campos. You're doing your job, and I appreciate it very much. Members of the public, thank you. Mr. Antonelli, Ms. Arroyo, and the other folks who've been very patient today also, thank you, all of you. We'll continue the item to Wednesday, July 14th. And Ms. Arroyo, as I know you will and do, please reach out to these folks and to the folks who called and the neighborhood councils and make sure everyone is aware of what we're looking at.
Will do, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, Mr. Vanuelos, who kind of got left in the cold there. All right. And thank you, members of the public. So, with that, folks, let's move on to item number 7. Item number 7 is an authority for expenditure, California Product Stewardship Council. Bureau of Sanitation and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $24,500 to pay for associated fees related to the circular textiles feasibility study for the dates of April 8th, 2021 to December 15th, 2021. AE 2146 D164M, Fund 46D, Citywide Recycling Trust Fund, Department number 50, Appropriation Unit 50TX82. Is Mr. Shu here on this item?
Yes, I'm here.
Good morning, sir, or afternoon, I say.
Good afternoon to you, Commissioner Good, or President Good. So we are, like you mentioned, we're seeking approval for this AFE with California Product Stewardship Council, the amount of $24,500. I believe I briefed you once prior to sometime this year about the project. So basically what we're doing is we're trying to usher in a circular economy or establish a circular economy in the city of Los Angeles. And due to the limited budget, we're starting with one material stream, that material stream being textiles. Along with textiles is also categorized as organics, under the organic waste category, so this is also helping with the 2028 100% organics diversion from landfills. So what we're doing is we're working and partnering with local manufacturers, textile producers of scraps to be more specific, and we're looking for ways to basically connect them with other users or processors, and ways that the ultimate goal is to divert these scraps that currently go in the blue and go into the black bin, because right now there's only 2 bins that companies have, and it's either black or blue, and since they can't go into blue, they go straight into the black bin, straight into the landfill. And this is definitely a byproduct that can be sorted. Through this pilot, we're planning to provide some education on sorting, as well as just some educational materials about the benefits of being sustainable. And we're looking to also look into like environmental justice areas to target those first to meet multiple goals. And basically, again, this pilot is looking to establish that circular economy, looking to divert textile scrap from landfills. And then if the pilot is successful, then We're looking to scale it up in textile waste first, obviously, and then eventually to different material streams as well. So I guess with that.
Y'all good? Thank you, Mr. Shu. Any questions or comments, Commissioner Villegas?
Thank you for that. Appreciate your report, Mr. Shu. I don't have any questions. I'm so glad that you all are doing this, and I look forward just to hearing updates, and how the progress is coming along.
Thank you.
President Pro Tem Davis.
I'm okay on this item. No questions from me either.
Okie doke. I don't really have any questions, Mr. Shu. I love the fact that I love this study. This is great, and it's one of those areas of waste that folks actually don't get or know about or realize is such a contributor to landfills. And so, getting to the point of figuring out how to get to a circular economy, I think is just, it's holy grail work. So thank you, Mr. Shu. I will motion to move the item forward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Any concerns or objections, Commissioner Yates?
None.
All right, hearing none, the item is adopted forthwith. Thank you, Mr. Shu.
Thanks, everybody.
That brings us to item number 8, Authority for Expenditure, Jordan Kaufman, KCTTC. Bureau of Sanitation and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $2,910.95. New adjusted amount of $147,910.95 to encumber funds to pay for remaining property taxes as levied by the Kern County Treasurer Tax Collector for the period of July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2021. AE 217-60016M, Fund 760, Sewer Operations and Maintenance Fund, Department number 50, Appropriation Unit 50TX82. I see Alan Tran is with us. How are you, sir?
Yes, good afternoon, President Good, the Board Commissioner. My name is Alan with LASAN. We are here today for an AFE to request and to encumber an additional fund of $2,910.95 to pay for the green property tax fiscal year 2020-2021. Green Acre Farm is the city-owned property in Kern County. The size of the farm is 4,688 acres, and it is a main facility for the city biosolid beneficial use program. The total property tax invoice is $147,910.95. The board already approved an AE of the amount of $145,000 back on November 20, 2020. So the fund will come from the sewer operation and maintenance funding, so therefore no impact on the general funding. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Tran. Any questions, colleagues? Dr. Davis?
None for me. Thank you for the report. I support it.
Thank you. Commissioner Villegas?
I have no questions either. Thank you, Mr. Tran.
Yeah, I have no questions, Mr. Tran. Thank you for the report. Thank you for your patience. Do I have a motion to move it forward?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Do I have a second, Commissioner Villegas?
And that, thank you.
Was that a second?
It was, yes. I said I would second, yeah.
All right. And my vote is aye, so no objections. The item is adopted forthwith. Thank you very much, Mr. Tran.
Thank you so much and have a good day.
Thank you. Item number 9, we have done. Item number 10, colleagues, is an administrative item. The mayor has approved and authorized the Board of Public Works to execute the personal services contract with Liberty Hill Foundation for stakeholder engagement and outreach services. This is for the Climate Emergency Mobilization Office. We approved this contract last week. This is an administrative item No presentation. Do I have I will motion to receive and file. Do I have a second?
Second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Any concerns or objections, Dr. Davis?
No concerns for me on this item.
All right. Hearing no objections or concerns, item number 10 is received and filed and adopted. We will move forward. Last item, we have contracts expiring within 90 days. Miss Nancy Lanton was the first to come on screen, so she gets to go first. Hi, Miss Lanton.
Hello, good afternoon, Commissioners. Nancy Lanton from LA Sanitation and Environment. For my contracts report this month, sanitation has 3 contracts expiring within the next 120 days. The first contract is with BFI, Browning Ferries Industries of California, or BFI. We will not be renewing this contract. This one expires June 30th. This is to provide for our disposal services of city collected refuse. We did just execute new contracts with 2 new contractors for those services. And thank you, Commissioner Good, for signing those contracts just yesterday for us. So that one will not be renewed. The next one will be Ventix ABB. This is for our software maintenance of our enterprise maintenance planning and control system. This also expires June 30, 2021. This will not be renewed as well. This is a sole source contract for our enterprise system, so we are renegotiating a new sole source contract with Ventix ABB. And then the third contract is with Rainbow Disposal, DBA Rainbow Environmental Services. This is for our receipt, processing, and reuse of our green material. This contract expires September 20th, 2021, and we will be renewing this contract. We are exercising the first 5-year renewal on this contract and also doing an amendment, and that will be going to the board shortly. And that concludes my report for this month.
Thank you, Ms. Lanton. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Mr. President, we have Melinda Chow from the Bureau of Street Services, and then followed by Mr. Greg Vandergriff from the Bureau of Engineering.
Terrific.
And there's no report for Bureau of Street Lighting and no report from the Bureau of Contract Administration. Okay. No contracts expiring.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. Good afternoon, Ms. Chow.
Good afternoon, board members. So this is Melinda Chow representing the Bureau of Street Services. Street Services, or Streets LA, has 1 contract expiring within the next 90 days, namely July through September 2021. The contract is a sole source contract with Shaheen and Associates. It's an as-needed contract which provides technical and consulting services for Streets LA's micropaver system, which helps us to determine and prioritize street maintenance and repair needs based on the pavement condition index. That contract is a 3-year contract and it expires September 13, 2021. Currently, we are working on a new sole source contract also for a 3-year term, and that will be presented to the board in the coming months. Additionally, there are 82 owner-operator work agreements that are associated with the as-needed haul track program that will expire June 30th, 2021. These agreements were authorized under a fiscal year 2021 authority for expenditure in the amount of $10.4 million, and it's to supplement existing staff in the transport of materials and debris throughout the city. Streets LA held numerous discussions with stakeholders on the future of this program and is submitting a separate board report with recommendations that meet California Assembly Bill 5 and city contracting requirements. That report is scheduled for board for this Friday, July 2nd. And that concludes my report. I'm available for any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Ms. Cho. Any questions, colleagues?
None for me.
I don't have any for Ms. Chow. I had a question, though, for Ms. Lanton.
Oh, I'm sorry, Teresa.
That's okay. I thought maybe we were just going to go through all 3 of them and then ask questions.
We probably could, but go ahead.
Just a quick, just clarification. You mentioned that Ventix ABB is not being renewed, but then they're going to have a sole source?
Yes, that contract is it will be a new sole source contract. So we're not currently renewing the current contract. We're renegotiating terms and pricing, but it will be a brand new sole source contract with Ventix ABB.
Okay, and so that'll just be like a price differential on this new contract?
Yeah,
And that
so-
they're all IT related?
Yes, they support their sole source procurement, and they are sole source for our MPACS LIP system, which we use at the plants. So same vendor, just different terms, so a brand new contract.
Okay, that's all my questions. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. All right, Mr. Vandergriff.
Good afternoon, President Good, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be with you today. For the Bureau of Engineering, we have 3 contracts that would expire between the period of June 1st, 2021 and August 31st, 2021. One of those contracts, contract number C127907 for E2020 Technology Incorporated, was due to expire on July 24th of this year. However, the board heard the request for an extension on this contract on June 18th. That extension was approved, and it also went to council today where it's being approved as we speak. The other 2 contracts, contract C102635 Swinnerton Management Consulting Incorporated, is due to expire on August 31st. That contract originally was with our animal bond program, which is basically complete. So we will be archiving that contract when it expires. Likewise, Kevin Daly and Associates, contract number C114016 expires on July 7th of this year, and it will also be archived when the contract expires. Any questions?
I have no questions, Mr. Vandergriff. Any questions, colleagues?
None from me.
No questions from me either. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Vandergriff. Thank you, Ms. Lanson. Thank you, Ms. Cho. That, I believe, clears the deck. Start your combos. No?
Mr. President, that is correct.
All right. Thank you all. This meeting is officially adjourned. Thanks, y'all, very much.
All right. Thank you.
Have a great day.
All right. See you soon.
The recording has stopped.